Sandwich generation. In this video, I'm going to discuss the sandwich generation. What does it mean? Which zones are you in? And if you stick around till the end of the video, I will share 5 key survival tips. Now, before we start, if you're looking for a video that will tear at your heartstrings and focus on just how miserable the sandwich generation is, this is not the video for you. We know it's rough, but we are going to deal with it with a smile. Are you finding the humor in providing care to both children and elderly parents? Probably not yet, but if you're watching this, you likely know my story because it's our story. I sometimes feel like an alien. My kids don't care about today because it's all about passing things off until tomorrow. My parents don't care about tomorrow because it's all about today. And I just want to go back to yesterday when I didn't have everyone mad at me for taking care of them. Does that sound familiar? Well, welcome to your 50s and the sandwich generation. So what exactly is the sandwich generation? It's the reward multiple generations of parents get for growing up. It's where they find themselves caring for aging parents and growing children, meaning that they are sandwiched between their parents and their children, all while trying to keep their life from resembling a dark comedy. And the best part? It's taboo to even call it a burden or even to discuss burnout. So ask yourself this: are you feeling burnt out? Answer me in the comments below and let's talk about it. Now, if you are early on in your sandwich process, let's say age 40 or around that, you're in this zone as both parents and children. At LU Health, we call that the Young Parent Navigator Zone. This is where you're caring for young children who need constant attention. And just when you catch a breath, your parents call, needing help with the Wi-Fi again. Or they lost their password to Facebook and urgently need to DM Aunt Myrna because Jesus loves them and wants them to share this post with 60 other people for 7 years of good luck. And if I don't find that goddamn password, I'm going to hell for some reason. So, good luck. So what do? Try to implement a family command center with a giant calendar and color-coded tasks. It's less about micromanaging, it's more about chaos managing. This way, you won't double book a soccer game and a cardiologist appointment. A typical challenge for caregivers of both the young and elderly family members. And for heaven's sake, get your parents to babysit without feeding the kids all that junk food that you never had access to as a child. So, you survived the terrible 2s, the terrorist 3s, and now your next reward? Now you've graduated to what we call the Midlife Caregiver Zone. This is where you're in your 40s and 50s, negotiating with preteens who speak mainly in eye rolls, while coordinating healthcare that respects your parents' independence. Parents who show you their love with that all-meaningful stare down, of course. You know the one. It's the, "I'm not stubborn, Patrick. I know better than you. A lot better than you. And if you don't respect me and what I want, Jesus loves you, but I don't." Yep, my parents are church-going Middle Easterner Catholics. On Sundays, we served lamb, hummus, and gil. Okay, so I'm just going to say this to you. If my mother watches this, she's going to kill me. She's 82, and we still don't mess with her. So how do you survive that stage? Use tech to your advantage. Digital calendars for appointments and group chats for updates. Keep everybody in the loop. Regularly scheduled family councils, what we like to call barbecues, are key for middle-aged adults balancing their own needs with those of their children and elderly parents. It can help air out grievances before they become another episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. And by the way, those were the best days we had. Lamb was good, guilt was a little overdone. All right, nicely done. You're just now coming into your own as a parent. Here at LU, we call the next phase the seasoned guardian. At this point, you're seasoned and marinated. Now, your adult children are shaping their identities. However, your elderly parents might be losing parts of theirs. Everyone seems to be a teenager except for you. So how do you hold on to your sanity when, as a caregiver, you're juggling the needs of your adult children and aging parents? You will need to somehow foster responsibility and empathy by involving your children in the caregiving process. Don't worry, they are resilient and they can take it. You don't believe me? Isn't that the same phrase that we, as the sandwich generation, hear as we balance providing financial support with the emotional toll of care? Give your adult children something small, such as simple errands for their grandparents. This helps them grow and gives you a breather now that you're middle-aged too. Honestly, we might be the first generation to treat our kids like they're wilting flowers. Give them some credit. They are growing up and surviving the age of social media and cancel culture. Remember, when we used to go to concerts, we used to hold up lighters. Now today, they hold up their phones. But before you go ahead and judge, who's the one who bought them the phone? It wasn't me. Let's get serious here for a moment. You may have come across this situation as one of my friends did recently. He went to visit his mother who suffers from dementia at an elderly home, a reality many adult children providing care for their aging parents have. She sometimes forgot who he was, which is a real reminder of the challenges we face. He took his kids with him, as it was a birthday or some other meaningful event, and he was worried they would be hurt if she didn't remember their names either. In this case, at that moment in time, she did remember. And it was a bittersweet realization that even in tough times, moments of joy can persist. So just keep in mind that some moments are a little harder than others. At that stage, we all know where it ends. But like we said, no victims, no crying, no feeling bad, right? So at the beginning of the video, I promised you 5 survival tips. Now I always tell people we always need to solve for X. Here, X is surviving being in the middle of the sandwich generation. So let's start with the 5 survival tips for the sandwich generation you can use to navigate caring for elderly parents, which are the baby boomers, and growing children, the millennials. So sandwich generation survival tip number 1. Financial balancing acts. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. It's more than just budgets and bills. It's about making sure your financial burden doesn't overwhelm you. Be prepared for some unexpected expenses, some more heartbreaking than others. The best way to deal with that is to save for those unwanted days so you can avoid both the financial and emotional hit at the same time. Try your best, put a little aside for financial support for both your young and elderly dependents. We have plenty of personal finance strategies that we can rely on, from zero balancing budget method, the 50-30-20 method, envelope budgeting, I don't suggest that, but that's just me, to the wealthy barber strategy. So let me know if you want more information on those in the comments below. Sandwich generation survival tip number 2, career and caregiving. So you have a BBA, an MBA, a PhD, a PhD, but what you really need is a JOB. Your work doesn't pause. Really, don't you wish it did? Just because you are the primary support at home. So speak to your HR about flexible work arrangements. They might be more understanding than you would expect, especially in today's world, where employer support is at its highest, and you'll get what you want if you arm yourself with a plan. Remember, managing your work means avoiding needing financial assistance as well. Sandwich generation survival tip number 3. Social life isn't optional. Time to go where everybody knows your name. That's your Cheers reference. So carve out time for friends and hobbies. It's not selfish, it's self-preservation and managing stress. Even an hour or 2 a week can recharge your emotional batteries. Sometimes that's just better than family support. Also, don't forget, your friends need your support too, as most of our friends are going through the exact same thing that we are. And I bet it's the same thing for you. Sandwich generation survival tip number 4. Protect your partnership. Don't forget to Netflix and chill. I learned what that meant, by the way. So with everything going on, your relationship with your spouse or your partner can take a hit, especially when you're a middle-aged caregiver balancing the ever-increasing needs of your children and your elderly parents. So schedule regular check-ins and date nights and make sure that they're not about logistics. Think of it as relationship protection, and you can insert your joke right here. Sandwich generation survival tip number 5. Mental health matters. Keep it together, keep it together, keep it together. Feeling overwhelmed is normal, but don't let it define you. You need to take care of you. Whether it's a professional therapist or a strong support group, getting that emotional support is a sign of strength. And remember, your friends and family are sometimes the best to remind you about your self-care, especially if you don't feel comfortable with a professional yet. Since you have kids and parents, you're awesome at listening, but don't forget to talk too. Remember, managing multi-generational care is a marathon. It is not a sprint. You don't need to come in first. You just need to finish the race and survive. Accept the chaos, find humor in the mishaps, and enjoy this time in your life as much as you can. It won't last forever, and you will miss it with time. One day, you're changing diapers. Next day, they're changing yours. Consider it payback for a job well done. So, to the new and old members of the sandwich generation, don't forget to give yourself a pat on the back. You're doing great, even when it doesn't feel like it. If you enjoyed this video, do like and subscribe, and have a sandwich and all that good stuff. Wishing you health, wellness, and time. Take care.